grim news on the Land Cruiser front. It is on the ramps because it needs an engine. So we're partway through removing all the ancillaries and unbolting the engine from the transfer case. That is definitely jacking the car. Well, this is just about the oddest thing I've ever seen, but the engine is out and it's going on a pallet to get stripped. If anyone on the internet says that it's easy to remove a Land Cruiser engine, they are liars. It is massive. The engine crane is now burst. We had to deflate the tyres to get extra bit of angle. The aircon condenser is dented. We had to unbolt the bonnet and flip it all the way up onto the windscreen. That was a serious undertaking. And my wings have absolutely died now. Good job. Wow. That was hard. But it's out.
4 to 6 days later.
Well, here we are. Yet again, I have fallen into the trap of buying a car where everyone has an opinion, but no one has some experience. The Land Cruiser. And as you have seen from previous videos, lots of smoke coming out the back. Brought it to Scott's to get some other work done, namely some suspension bushes. And he called me and said, there's a lot more going on with this Land Cruiser than just some diff bushes. So it needs an engine. And this is what it's come to. The engine is out. And it's over here because it needs a full rebuild. Compression was low on 3 of the cylinders, and so it needs new piston rings and possibly bottom end bearings. We'll find out. It was very tricky to get it out because it's so heavy. We reckon it's about 440 kilograms dry. In fact, when Michael came to try and get it into his van to go and rebuild the engine, it wouldn't go in the van because the suspension immediately compressed onto the bump stops, so he couldn't take it. So the engine is still here in its semi-stripped state. Now Michael would normally take a completely bare engine, but in this case we're sending everything to him. So alternator, aircon pump, the turbo's still attached, manifold is here. All the injectors are still in, the injection pump is still attached, even the oil filter is still connected. He's going to take everything because if he can find a kit for it, he is going to fit the kit. This turbo will get reconditioned. There's a kit to recondition the injection pump. He's going to do all of that stuff. But what I'll do is I'll put up a separate video of reference, because for people like us who are trying to do a rebuild or trying to remove an engine, it was very, very difficult because there was so little information actually available online to tell us what we're supposed to do. So we'll get that sent to Michael and then he will rebuild the whole thing. Now let's talk about the process. So there were well, how many bolts is that? I think it was 12 bell housing bolts and then 6 bolts which go into the torque converter, so we had to remove those. Then these 2 gearbox cooler lines, those were bolted onto the side of the engine, so we had to remove those as well in order to get the engine out. Underneath we ripped out all the sound deadening stuff so that we could get access, and then it was 4 bolts in total for the 2 engine mounts. And that was about it. You know, not including, you know, radiator and ancillary hoses and so on. It's made easy because most of the loom plugs are down the right hand side of the engine. So all the electrical connectors are down one side. You can just get them up and get them out the way. Most of them. Drained the fluids and then dropped it. Now that it's out, we have much better access to do things like the diff bushes. I'll do a steering rack while we're in here. New track rod ends. Also an opportunity to clean up and rust proof some of the internal parts and bits of the ladder chassis that have been missed on previous undersealings. The brake pipes are looking really haggard, so while we've got good access, again, we'll replace the brake pipes. The disappointing thing is that all of the small changes that we tried to do to repair it, like people said that it was going to be this fuel filter housing that leaked air, so we tried that. We tried the injectors. We tried fuel cleaner. We tried the resistances on the injection pump. All of the small stuff that people said it might have been, it wasn't any of those. It was low compression. And so the engine is out. This is an easy decision for me because if I'm planning to keep this thing for 20 years, and I am, it's the first car that I've thought, I'm going to just keep this forever. I don't mind investing the money fixing things that I will benefit from over the next 20 years. So, for example, this turbo might be fine. There might be nothing wrong with the turbo, but rather than take a chance, while we have access and while we have to have it off anyway, the turbo will come off and get reconditioned. The injection pump, there might be nothing wrong with it. It needs a whole bunch of specialist Denso tools in order to test it. So we don't know if it's faulty, but if it's got to come off anyway, we'll get it fixed. There's going to be an awful lot of that, and if I'm keeping the car for 20 years, it's not a problem. Also, catalytic converters there, because, you know, decap pipe. It means also we'll have an opportunity to do the water pump and the tensioner and the timing belt. We'll get all that stuff done at the same time, new belts for the aircon, and basically if we can see it, we'll do it. So I was disappointed, of course, because when we bought the car for 5,500-ish, there was a chance that it was a simple failure, like the swirl flaps or something like that. When it isn't one of the simple things, it means I have to spend a lot more money. So of course I'm disappointed that I'm looking at spending perhaps another £5,000 on parts and fitting, but it means that I'll have a really well sorted out Land Cruiser at the end of it, and then I can get on to doing the cosmetic stuff with a really solid mechanical base for a car. No regrets, just a lot more complicated and maybe a little bit more stressful than I expected. But when it's done, it should be pretty legendary, and we can get it jacked up on bigger suspension and get these wheel arches replaced with ones that aren't totally rusty, and get the thing sorted again. So that's it. I'll do another video just with some reference pictures, because they might be useful to someone on the internet that needs to see inside this thing. So that's the update on the Land Cruiser. That's why we've been quiet. I've been sorting out parts and buying new things for this, because it needs a full engine rebuild because of the low compression. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try and answer them with the knowledge that I do have. Stay safe, make good decisions. See you in the next video. Thanks everyone. Bye.